Welcome back to Breakfast to Dawn. Today is Friday, October 19th, 2007. As we were talking earlier, it's been an unfortunate night. Ms. Benazir Bhutto's procession, which was moving from Karachi airport towards Qa'id-e-Azam Mausoleum, there were 2 bomb attacks, a lot of casualties, over 125 people died and over 350 injured. We were talking to our reporter, Mr. Khurram Husain, who was present at the Bilawal House and various city areas throughout the night and of course yesterday. But now we're joined with Mr. Mubashir Zaidi, who, as you all must have seen during the coverage in the last 48 hours, was traveling with Ms. Bhutto from Dubai to Karachi. Thank you, Mubashir. Thank you for coming in. And we can see from the look on your face that you have not rested.
Well, certainly, it's a sad day.
It is a sad day.
Morning, frankly, for not only for Karachi but for the whole country, because no one had expected a tragedy of such a magnitude after watching a political awakening, a very pleasant political awakening in the city of Karachi. And when I came along with Benazir Bhutto, she had already said that there were fears that she might be attacked or her caravan might be attacked, but she never expected that to happen herself, and obviously no one amongst us was expecting that to happen. So I think the whole of her journey has taken a new turn now, and the party has to decide that how to go about it, and they will be deciding it today when they'll be meeting. But I think a difficult time for Benazir herself is because now she had mobilized the party, but then it is the party that has been targeted, although there are security officials as well amongst the dead. So this is all happening, and I think it's too premature to say where the politics of Benazir lead from here.
We are now joined online with us Mr. Akbar Zaidi, who is a senior economist, and we would ask him about the impact of this on the economic and business side of Pakistan. Good morning, Mr. Zaidi.
Good morning.
Yesterday we saw a surge in the stock exchange and the sentiments were looking good. What do you expect for today?
I think the first thing that one needs to consider, 140 people have been killed, and probably more will die by the end of the day and tomorrow. I think the loss of human life is far greater than any index or any other indicator. So I think that's something that one needs to recognize, and something that you've been following on your television as well. I think the index today is probably going to react negatively, but more importantly, over the next few days, see that there'll be very little economic activity in the city. I think a lot of sort of foreign tourists, foreign direct investment, the cricket matches for Karachi will probably be postponed. So I think it's good. Obviously, things like this have a negative impact. Although in the past, sometimes we've seen that when an event of this sort happens, the economy is mature enough and it comes back on its feet. But I think because of the link with Benazir's arrival, because of the way it has been done, and the scale of the killings and the deaths, I think it will have a negative impact for the next few days, certainly.
Okay, we are here in the studio with our correspondents in Ports, Khurram, Husain and Mubashir. Khurram, what do you think would be the impact of this? I mean, Zaidi Sahab obviously feels that this would have a negative impact today, and also in the coming week the activity would be low. Being on the street and being also involved in the business side, what do you think would be the impact of all this?
Well, Faisal, the economy is not something that can be measured on a day-to-day basis, and I've always maintained the market, particularly the stock market, is a very poor barometer of economic activity as such. So whether the market is going up or down, it's it doesn't tell you anything about how the economy is performing, and you cannot really measure the performance of the economy by looking at the stock market or anything. But nevertheless, I think the impact of this, as Mubashir was saying, how Benazir Bhutto decides to play this, how this affects the relationship, the nature of the deal, how this pans out over the long term, the forthcoming elections, that is more likely to have an economic impact which is more sustained, which is more measurable. Zaidi Saab, we've seen Benazir Bhutto and Pervez Musharraf moving towards some sort of an understanding with each other, a reconciliation as they were putting it. Can you give us perhaps a medium-term outlook over the next 6 months, looking at this reconciliation, looking at the elections coming up, and that this event now threatens to derail, possibly derail that process, or at least impact it in some way. How do you see that the economy might have fared through this process of reconciliation and then leading to the general elections?
Khurram, I think you're absolutely right about the stock market not even being a minor indicator of the state of the economy, and that's something that I've been saying for a long time as well, and as have other economists, that it's not an adequate or fair indicator. Coming back to your question, I think that the stakes are so high for both for Musharraf and for Benazir in this so-called deal and this so-called reconciliation, that I don't think either is going to want to rock the boat no matter what happens. I think both have invested their political futures into this. It's not just a simple deal. I think it's a package which is going to take both very far into the future. At least that's their expectation. So a bomb blast or other political activity, the way it pans out over the next few weeks, is not going to derail this. I think there are other factors, the Supreme Court and other factors, Mubashir's return and so on and so forth. But I think as far as this deal and so-called reconciliation is concerned, I think it is going to stay on track because the two very important, very public figures who are involved in this have put their political future at stake. As far as what's going to happen over the economy, I think that the economy over the last few years has turned a corner in some ways, not in terms of growth rates, but in terms of its maturity. I think that's the word that people have started using. That we've become a slightly maturer economy, a maturer country in a sense, where incidents of this sort have not really made a significant dent on the economy, on economic progress, on macroeconomic developments, and so on and so forth. I think that is probably going to continue. I don't see much change, even if Benazir becomes Prime Minister, even if there's some other sort of change. I think whatever the economic program of future government and this government is, I think we'll see much of the same thing. I really don't see much change coming up.
Okay, but you just said that we become a mature community. Is it maturity, or are you suggesting the business community has become indifferent to the going-ons or whatever happens, and it's business as usual, the economy has to push on?
No, hardly indifferent. I think that they are concerned. I mean, law and order, security is a very major concern of not just of the business community, but all citizens of all social classes. I mean, no question about that. But I think that they have come to live with it. I mean, sadly so, in a sense. Rather than do away with these sort of problems, they've come to terms with it. It's like Sri Lanka, for example, where you've had this problem, and other places as well. Life does continue, and I think that we see that change now. For lots of reasons. I think the economic process, post 9/11 factors, the amount of money that's been coming in, all that has given the economy a firmer footing. I mean, there's lots of things bad with the economy as well, but it's given it a firmer footing. And I think that you can't. I don't expect that the growth rate is going to fall to 4.5% next year on account of these sort of activities. It's going to be on track. It's just that perhaps different governments are going to have different focuses in terms of investment, public policy, public spending, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Zaidi Sahab, I did have one more question regarding this particular event though, that the government has worked quite hard over the past few years to try and portray Pakistan as a destination of choice for foreign investment, and part of that involves portraying Pakistan as a stable country of sorts. Do you think that an event such as this and its capacity to command the headlines for the next few days and the kind of international coverage and condemnation it's coming under might actually end up influencing or undoing some of that work and helping portray Pakistan as perhaps an unstable country, an unsafe country to build long-term plans around in the eyes of foreign investors?
Yeah, absolutely, Khurram. I think you're right about that. But then I would say that instability did not start last night. It's been on at least since the beginning of this year. In March onwards, and then the suicide attacks in Islamabad and the attack and what's happening in Waziristan. So I don't think that this one event is going to make all that is going to change things overnight. I think it's a process, and I would say again, despite what's been happening, I mean, I've been quite surprised that despite all the militancy, the military's involvement, and the suicide bombs, economic activity continues to grow, if not flourish. And whenever investors are wary of coming to Pakistan, they'll probably meet up in Dubai. I think that process will continue. I think the immediate consequence will be probably the end of the South African series, or they probably won't come to Karachi to play the one day.
All right, Zaidi Sahab, thank you very much. We must leave you. Thank you.